The scent of old paper and dried lavender is the only comfort I know. It clings to the worn armchair in Lyra's cottage, a small, forgotten dwelling at the very edge of the Blackwood Pack's territory. Here, I am not Ilara the wolfless, Ilara the Omega orphan. Here, I am just the girl who reads. Lyra sits across from me, her eyes, clouded with age, fixed on the crackling hearth. Her scent is faint, like faded parchment and chamomile, the once sharp tang of her wolf softened by a century of winters. Most in the pack have forgotten her, a relic from a time of different alphas and different wars, but I have not. Read me the one about the star-crossed lovers again, dear. She rasps, her voice thin as a dry leaf. I smile, my first genuine one of the day. Of course, Lyra. I open the book, its spine cracked and soft from countless readings. My duties in the pack house are endless and thankless, scrubbing floors and serving meals to warriors who look through me as if I am made of glass. My hands are chapped, my knees ache, but for these 2 hours every evening, I am free. The pack's omega status is a cage, and my wolflessness is the lock. Without an inner beast, I am incomplete, a whisper in a world of growls and roars. My parents, they say, were rogues who died trespassing. I was found, a babe on the border, and taken in as a charity case, a debt I repay daily on my hands and knees. As I read, the story of fated mates from warring kingdoms fills the small space. It is a fantasy I allow myself only here in the safety of Lyra's company. The idea that the moon goddess carves one soul for another, a perfect match, is a beautiful lie I cling to. For a wolfless Omega, a mate is an impossibility. Who would want half a soul? The ache of that emptiness is a constant, cold companion in my chest. A sudden commotion outside pulls me from the narrative. Shouts echo through the trees, the thunder of paws growing closer. A tremor of unease runs through me. Lyra's head lifts, a flicker of something sharp in her milky eyes. Her nostrils flare, and a low guttural sound rumbles in her chest, a sound I have never heard from her before. It is a sound of warning, of possession. They are here, she whispers, and the words are laced with a bitterness that chills me. The door to her cottage bursts open, slamming against the stone wall. Two imposing warriors in the Alpha's guard livery fill the doorway, their expressions hard. Behind them, stepping into the warm glow of the firelight, is a man who steals the very breath from my lungs, Alpha King Kalen. He is not just our pack's Alpha. He is the king of all 7 territories, a monarch who has not visited our remote pack in a decade. He is a legend, a myth of power and ruthless command made real. His presence is overwhelming, a physical force that presses in on me. His scent floods the cottage, devouring the gentle aroma of lavender and old books. It is the raw, intoxicating scent of a raging winter storm, of ancient pine forests and the crackle of ozone before a lightning strike. It is the most powerful, most dominant scent I have ever encountered, and my body reacts before my mind can. A jolt, white-hot and electric, shoots up my spine. The cold, empty space in my chest suddenly ignites. A roaring inferno of feeling, every nerve ending sings. The world narrows to him, to the sharp line of his jaw, the storm gray of his eyes, and that scent, that impossible, soul-shattering scent. Across the room, his eyes lock onto mine. They widen, the pupils blowing out, and I see the shock register on his face. He takes an involuntary step forward, his lips parting on a single silent word I feel more than hear. Mate, the beautiful lie is real. The fairy tale is true. The moon goddess has not forgotten me. Tears spring to my eyes, blurring his powerful form. He is a king. I am nothing, but the bond does not care. It screams between us, a vibrant, living cable of light and longing, promising an end to the loneliness, an end to the ache. Hope, so fierce it hurts, blossoms in my chest. He is my mate, my other half. He will see me. He will finally, truly see me. My heart hammers against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat of terror and elation. The guards shift uncomfortably, their own wolves clearly agitated by the sheer force of the recognition radiating from their king. Kalen's gaze is still locked on me, a maelstrom of shock, disbelief, and something else. Something that looks terrifyingly like dismay. The hope in my chest wavers, flickering like a dying candle. He takes a slow, deliberate breath, his broad shoulders tensing. He tears his eyes from mine and forces them toward Lyra. "Grandmother," he says, his voice a low growl that vibrates through the floorboards. "Grandmother?" The word hangs in the air, a revelation that stuns me into silence. This quiet, forgotten old woman is the Alpha King's grandmother. He has not visited her in years, letting her fade into obscurity while I, a stranger, kept her company. Lyra gives him a look of pure disdain. "Do not call me that. You lost the right when you left me to rot in this hovel, boy." Kalen's jaw clenches. His gaze sweeps the room, taking in the worn furniture, the threadbare rug, the stack of books by my chair. It is a home of neglect. His neglect. Then his eyes land back on me, and the dismay deepens into a cold, hard resolve. He looks at me, truly looks at me, and I see myself through his eyes. The patched Omega dress, the chapped hands, the scent of servitude clinging to my skin. I see the utter unsuitability of it all, of me. "You," he says, his voice dropping, losing all its earlier shock and leaving only ice. He points a finger at me, a gesture of accusation. "What are you?" I flinch as if struck. The question is a dismissal, a judgment. I, I am Alara, Alpha King." I force myself to my feet, my legs trembling. I try to dip into the respectful curtsy required of an Omega, but my body feels stiff, resistant. He stalks forward, closing the distance between us until I have to crane my neck to look up at him. His scent is a suffocating storm, but the initial heady promise is curdling into something sharp and painful, like burning pine. He circles me like a predator assessing prey, his eyes cataloging every flaw. The bond between us is still thrumming, a desperate, hopeful song from my side, but from his it is being choked, suppressed by a will of iron. "I smell no wolf on you," he states, the words a final nail in my coffin. "You are wolfless." "Yes, Alpha King," I whisper, shame heating my cheeks. He stops in front of me, his shadow falling over me like a shroud. The hope that had flared so brightly is now a dying ember, smothered by the cold reality of his expression. His face is a mask of regal fury and profound disappointment. He is the Alpha King. His line is ancient, powerful. His mate, his queen, is meant to be a she-wolf of immense strength and noble blood, someone to secure his legacy. Not a barren, wolfless Omega found in the dirt. "The moon goddess has made a mistake," he declares, his voice ringing with absolute authority. It echoes in the sudden, ringing silence of the cottage. The words are a physical blow, striking the bond between us like an axe. A searing pain, unlike anything I have ever known, rips through my chest. It feels as if my soul is being torn in two. A strangled gasp escapes my lips, and I stumble back, clutching my heart. "Kalen, no!" Lyra cries out, struggling to rise from her chair. You foolish, arrogant child, you do not know what you are doing. But he ignores her. His eyes are fixed on me, cold and merciless. He raises his voice so it carries not just through the cottage, but to the entire pack gathering outside, drawn by the commotion. I, Kaelin of the House of Blackwood, Alpha King of the Seven Territories, reject you, Ilara, as my mate and my queen. Each word is a hammer blow. The pain intensifies, a supernova of agony exploding behind my ribs. The world whites out. The bond, that beautiful, vibrant thing, shatters. It doesn't just break, it implodes, leaving behind a jagged, bleeding wound in the very center of my being. The sound that tears from my throat is not human. It is the raw, keening shriek of a soul being murdered. He does not flinch. He stands there, a stone monarch watching me crumble. You are a weakness my bloodline cannot afford, a flaw in the lineage. You are nothing. He turns to his guards. She is an exile. Remove her from my territory. If she is found here by sunrise, she is to be hunted as a rogue. My legs give out, and I collapse to the floor, the splintered wood digging into my knees. Through a haze of unspeakable pain, I look up at him, this king, my mate, my destroyer. I see no regret in his eyes, only the cold, hard certainty of a ruler making a necessary sacrifice. And I am the sacrifice. The guards haul me to my feet, their touch rough, impersonal. They drag me from the warmth of the cottage, away from the only kindness I have ever known. Litra is screaming his name, curses and pleas mixing in a desperate torrent. I am dragged past the assembled pack, their faces a blur of pity, scorn, and morbid curiosity. They witnessed my one moment of impossible hope, and now they witness my utter destruction. The humiliation is a brand on my skin, searing me to the bone. They shove me past the territorial markers into the dark, unfamiliar woods beyond. Go, one of them snarls, and do not return. Then they are gone, and I am alone. The cold of the night seeps into my thin dress. The sounds of the forest press in, alien and threatening. But the physical cold is nothing compared to the howling, freezing abyss that has opened inside me. The place where the bond used to be is a gaping necrotic wound, pulsing with a pain so profound I can barely draw breath. Every inhale is a fresh wave of agony. My mate rejected me. He cast me out. He called me nothing. And my soul, what is left of it, believes him. I stumble through the darkness with no destination, no purpose. The forest floor is uneven, catching my feet, sending me sprawling into the dirt and mulch. I barely feel it. All I feel is the hole in my chest. He broke it. He broke me. I lie there on the cold, damp earth, the scent of rot and decay filling my nostrils. This is where I belong now, discarded, worthless. A tremor starts in my hands, then spreads through my entire body. It is not from the cold. It is a deep, foundational shudder of loss. Sobs rack my frame, harsh, ugly sounds torn from the depths of my shattered soul. I curl into a ball, pressing my forehead against the ground, wishing the earth would just swallow me whole. The pain is unsurvivable. It is a living entity, a predator feasting on my insides. Mine, my soul had sung. Nothing, he had replied. Hours pass, or maybe minutes. Time has lost its meaning. The moon rises, a cold silver disk in the sky, offering no comfort. Its light filters through the canopy, dappling the ground in ghostly patterns. I am shivering uncontrollably now, the night's chill finally penetrating the fog of my grief. Survival is a distant, academic concept. Why would I want to survive this? But then, something shifts. Deep within the gaping wound in my chest, a flicker. It is not warmth. It is not hope. It is something else. A tiny, defiant spark of anger. He does not get to destroy me. The thought is a whisper. Fragile, but there. He threw me away like trash. He humiliated me in front of the world. He stood there and watched me break. Rage, cold and pure, begins to coil in my belly. It is a strange, unfamiliar feeling. I have never been allowed anger before. Omegas are meant to be pliant, meek. But I am not an Omega anymore. I am not anything. I am an exile. Slowly, painfully, I push myself up. My limbs scream in protest. My dress is torn and stained with mud. My face is swollen from crying. But I am on my feet. I look back in the direction of the territory I can no longer enter, the home that was never truly a home. I think of his cold, gray eyes, the cruelty in his beautiful face, and I make a choice. He may have cast me out. He may have shattered our bond. But I will not die here. I will not be the weak, wolfless nothing he named me. I will live. I will survive this unsurvivable pain. And one day I will be so far from the girl who fell at his feet that he will not even recognize me. A vow takes root in the barren soil of my heart. I will not just survive. I will become strong. I will become powerful. I will become someone he could never again call nothing. And if I ever see him again, he will be the one to feel regret. The cold spark of anger begins to glow, a tiny ember in the vast, freezing darkness of my soul. It is not much, but it is enough. It is a start. I turn my back on Blackwood territory and walk deeper into the unknown, one agonizing step at a time. 3 years later, the scent of pine and winter air still haunts my nightmares, but in my waking hours, the world smells of mountain winds, sharp steel, and the clean, crisp scent of my own power. I am no longer an exile. I am the right hand of Alpha Lysander of the Silver Creek Pack, a remote but proud pack nestled high in the northern mountains, a place so isolated they care little for the politics of the 7 territories. They value strength and loyalty above all else, and I have given them both. I found my way here by sheer, stubborn will, half dead and delirious with pain. Lysander found me collapsed on his border, a wraith with haunted eyes. He did not see a wolfless Omega. He saw a survivor. He gave me shelter, and when I healed, he gave me a place. He saw the fire in me, the rage I was slowly learning to temper and hone. He gave me a dagger first, then a sword. He taught me to fight, to channel my grief into deadly grace. And he was there the day my power awakened. It was not the snapping of bones and sprouting of fur I had seen in others. It happened during a sparring session, when a warrior twice my size had me cornered. As he lunged, a desperate primal instinct erupted from that old wound in my chest. But it was not a void anymore. It had become a well, a torrent of silvery light, cool and potent as the moon itself, burst from my hands. It threw the warrior back 10 feet, leaving him stunned and sputtering. I am not wolfless. I am something far older, far rarer. A lunar, a descendant of the first she-wolves who were said to converse directly with the moon goddess, channeling her light as a weapon and a shield. My wolflessness was merely dormancy. Kalen's rejection, the severing of the bond, had been the cataclysm that cracked the shell of my hidden heritage. The irony is a bitter pill I swallow every day. The very thing he cast me out for, my perceived weakness, was the key to a power greater than any alpha's brute strength. Now I stand on the training grounds, the hilt of my sword cool and familiar in my grasp. My movements are fluid, precise. I am no longer the scrawny, hunched girl from the pack house kitchens. I am tall and strong, my body a weapon forged in pain and discipline. Scars, thin and silver, trace patterns on my arms, souvenirs of hard-won lessons. My hair, once a mousy brown, has taken on a silvery sheen, especially in the moonlight. I command the respect of the Silver Creek warriors, not because I demand it, but because I have earned it. You fight with the fury of a goddess, Ilara, Lysander says, his voice warm with approval. He stands at the edge of the training circle, leaning against a post. His scent is of warm earth and summer rain, a grounding, comforting presence that has been my anchor for 3 years. He is kind, his smile genuine, his blue eyes holding a respect I once starved for. He is everything Kaelin is not. The fury was a gift from an old acquaintance, I reply, my voice even, betraying none of the old turmoil. I sheathe my sword, the motion smooth and practiced. He pushes off the post and walks toward me, his expression turning serious. A rider came this morning, from the south. The Alpha King is calling a council of all packs, even the independent ones. The name hits me like a physical blow, a phantom echo of the pain that once defined me. Alpha King, Kaelin. For a moment, the training yard blurs, and I am back in that tiny cottage, the scent of a winter storm choking me. I force the memory down, locking it away in the steel box I have built around my heart. Why? I ask, my tone clipped. There is a new threat. Shadow creatures, they are calling them. The unseen. They are attacking border settlements, draining the life from the land and the people. They move like smoke and cannot be killed by ordinary means. Kaelin's forces are spread thin. He needs allies. A cold dread trickles down my spine, colder than any mountain winter. Shadow creatures. I have heard whispers, tales from traveling merchants that I had dismissed as ghost stories. We have never answered a summons from the lowlands before, I state, my eyes meeting his. We are a neutral pack, and we will remain so, Lysander assures me. But to ignore the summons would be seen as an insult, and we cannot afford a war with the 7 territories. I must go, and I want you to come with me. My heart seizes. Go south? To a council hosted by him? The thought is abhorrent. Every instinct screams at me to refuse, to stay here in my sanctuary. But I am not the girl who runs and hides anymore. I am Lysander's second, his protector. My place is by his side. And a small dark part of me, the part that still burns with that first spark of rage, whispers that this is it. This is the moment I have been preparing for. A chance to face my destroyer, not as a broken Omega, but as his equal. He will not recognize me, I say, more to myself than to Lysander. Lysander's expression softens with a sympathy that makes my throat tighten. He knows my story, all of it. I told him one night, huddled by a fire, the words pouring out of me like poison being drawn from a wound. He listened without judgment, his quiet presence a balm to my fractured soul. Perhaps, he says gently, but you will recognize him. Are you ready for that? Am I ready? Am I ready to feel the phantom limb of our broken bond ache? Am I ready to breathe in the scent that shattered my world and not fall to my knees? I do not know, but I lift my chin, meeting his gaze with a resolve I forge from pure will. I am. He nods, his trust in me absolute. Then we ride at dawn. As he walks away, I remain standing in the center of the training yard, my hand resting on the pommel of my sword. I look south, toward the lands I fled in disgrace. A storm is coming, both for the world and for me. For 3 years, I have built a fortress around my heart, brick by painful brick. Soon I will find out if it is strong enough to withstand the man who laid its foundations. My name is Kalen, and I am a king, ruling over a kingdom of ghosts. It has been 3 years since the night I destroyed my own soul, and not a single moment has passed that I have not been paying for it. The consequences of my pride are a daily torment, a self-inflicted damnation from which there is no escape. My wolf, Lycan, has not spoken to me since that night. He is a silent, snarling beast in my mind, a constant well of rage and self-loathing directed solely at me. He paces the cage of my ribs, radiating a palpable hatred that sours every meal, that turns every victory to ash in my mouth. He wanted her. He knew her worth from the instant her scent of night-blooming jasmine and moonlight hit us. And I, in my arrogant blindness, threw her away. Sleep offers no respite. It is a battlefield of nightmares. I see her face, those wide, hopeful brown eyes turning to shattered glass. I hear her scream, a sound that flayed the skin from my bones. I wake up in a cold sweat, the sheets tangled around me, the phantom ache of the severed bond, a physical agony in my chest. It is a hollow, cold place that never, ever warms. My physicians say I'm in perfect health, but they are fools. I am rotting from the inside out. I rejected my fated mate, and the universe is exacting its price. The scent of other she-wolves is repulsive to me now. Pack matrons and visiting dignitaries present their eligible daughters, their scents of rose, or honey, or spring rain, and all I smell is cloying smoke. They are wrong. They are not her. My wolf recoils from them with such violence that I have to physically restrain the growl that rises in my throat. I am a king without a queen, a man without a mate, a wolf without a soul. My court whispers that I am cursed. They are right. My grandmother, Lyra, has not spoken a word to me since that night. I moved her back into the royal wing of the keep, gave her the finest chambers, the softest furs, a staff of servants. She ignores it all. She just sits by her window, staring out at the gardens, her silence a more potent condemnation than any shouted accusation. The only thing she keeps with her is a worn, leather-bound book of fairy tales, the one Ilara used to read to her. Sometimes I find her tracing the words with a trembling finger, and the guilt is a fresh knife in my gut. Ilara was her only comfort, and I ripped that away too. Now, this new threat emerges from the shadows, the unseen. They are a plague, a creeping darkness that my best warriors cannot fight. They are drawn to sources of power, and my kingdom is the brightest beacon in the land. My people are frightened. My alphas are looking to me for answers I do not have. This council is an act of desperation, a king forced to beg for help. I stand on the balcony overlooking the grand courtyard of my citadel, watching the delegations arrive. Alpha after alpha, from packs great and small, ride in with their entourages. I scan each one, a sick, hopeless ritual I cannot stop. For 3 years, I have looked for her in every crowd, listened for her voice in every market. I sent scouts, spies, trackers to find her, to know if she was even alive. They found nothing. She vanished as if the earth itself had hidden her. I tell myself it is to ensure the threat of a rogue claimant is gone. Lycan knows the truth. I am desperate to know what became of the woman I broke. Then I see them. The Silver Creek banner, a wolf's head howling at a silver moon, is one I barely recognize. They are a reclusive, neutral pack from the northernmost mountains, and their presence here is a surprise. Their alpha, a young, strong-looking male named Lysander, rides at the head of a small contingent of warriors, and at his right hand. My breath catches in my throat. She rides a fierce black mare, sitting the saddle with an easy confidence that speaks of years of practice. She is dressed in dark, practical leather armor, a long sword strapped to her back. Her hair is longer, woven into a thick braid, and it gleams with an impossible silver light under the midday sun. She is taller, leaner, her face honed to sharp, beautiful angles where it was once soft and round. But it is her. The way she holds her head, the curve of her lips, the quiet, watchful intensity in her eyes. It is Alara. Lycan, silent for 3 years, lets out a deafening roar in my head. Mine. The force of it staggers me, and I grip the stone balustrade to keep from falling. The dead space in my chest explodes with a pain 1,000 times worse than the dull ache I have grown used to. It is the bond, what is left of it, screaming at her proximity. She is alive. She is here. And she is magnificent. She is not the broken girl I cast into the darkness. She is a warrior, a queen in all but name, riding beside another alpha. A thick, poisonous jealousy, hot and suffocating, pours through me. He looks at her with a respect and admiration that I, her true mate, denied her. The kindness in his gaze is a dagger twisting in my gut. As her delegation passes below, she lifts her head, her gaze sweeping the battlements. For a heartbeat, her eyes meet mine. There is no shock in them, no fear, no pain. There is nothing. Just a flat, cold emptiness, as if she is looking at a stranger, as if I am nothing to her. The indifference is a more brutal blow than any hatred could ever be. She looks through me, just as my warriors once looked through her. The perfect, cruel justice of it steals the air from my lungs. She is here, and she has the power to destroy me with a single, dismissive glance. The king who thought he was making a decision of strength now knows the truth. It was the weakest, most foolish act of my life. And the punishment, I realize with chilling certainty, has only just begun. The Great Hall of Kaelin's citadel is a monument to power and arrogance. Banners depicting the conquests of his ancestors hang from the high, vaulted ceilings. A massive throne of polished obsidian and silver dominates the far end of the room. The air is thick with the competing scents of dozens of powerful alphas, a testosterone-fueled miasma of suspicion and pride. It sets my teeth on edge. Lysander and I take our designated seats, our Silver Creek delegation a small island of mountain calm in a sea of lowland posturing. My eyes stay fixed on Lysander, but my senses are stretched taut, screaming with awareness of one person, Kaelin. He sits on his throne, the very picture of a formidable king, but I can feel his turmoil. The jagged edges of our severed bond are scraping against each other, a raw, agonizing friction across the expanse of the hall. I can feel his stare on me, a heavy weight on my skin. I do not give him the satisfaction of looking. My focus is my shield. My indifference is my sword. Lysander leans toward me, his voice a low murmur. He cannot take his eyes off you. Let him look, I murmur back, my voice devoid of emotion. He will find nothing here for him. Kaelin rises, and a hush falls over the hall. He begins to speak of the unseen, his voice the same deep, commanding tone that once shattered my world. He details the attacks, the losses, the creeping dread that infects his lands. He asks for allegiance, for warriors, for a united front. As he speaks, I let my senses drift, probing the room. The fear from the other alphas is palpable, a sour, acrid scent beneath their blustering pride. This threat is real. Suddenly, the great doors of the hall groan, pushed inward by a force that is not physical. A wave of cold, dead air washes into the room, extinguishing half the torches in a breath. The scent is of graveyards and deep, starless space, a void that consumes all other smells. Panic erupts. Alphas leap to their feet, growling, their guards drawing weapons. Shadows detach themselves from the corners of the room, coalescing into tall, wavering figures with no discernible features, only holes where eyes should be, the unseen. They move without a sound, gliding across the stone floor. One of them drifts toward a burly alpha from the Sunstone pack. Before anyone can react, the creature extends a smoky tendril and touches the alpha's chest. The wolf lets out a choked scream, his face contorting in agony. His vibrant, powerful scent of sun-baked earth and amber is snuffed out in an instant, leaving behind the smell of dust and decay. He collapses, a withered husk, his skin gray and sunken. Chaos explodes. Warriors charge, their swords and claws passing through the smoky forms with no effect. The creatures are intangible, yet their touch is death. Another one glides toward Lysander and me. Lysander shoves me behind him, his own sword out, a protective growl rumbling in his chest. But I step out from behind him, my hand already glowing. This is my power. This is my purpose. I raise my hands, and the wellspring of light within me answers the call. A sphere of pure, silver energy, cool and brilliant as the full moon, materializes between my palms. It pulses, casting the chaotic scene in its ethereal glow. The shadow creature heading for us recoils, hissing, its form flickering violently as the light touches it. "Light!" I shout, my voice ringing with an authority I did not know I possessed. They are creatures of shadow. They cannot bear the light. I thrust my hands forward, and a beam of solid moonlight erupts from the sphere, striking the creature dead center. It shrieks, a sound like tearing fabric, and dissolves into a cloud of black dust that settles harmlessly on the floor. A stunned silence falls over the hall. Every eye is on me, on the residual silver light dancing around my fingertips. I turn, my gaze sweeping the room, and find the remaining unseen. With a roar of renewed purpose, I lunge forward, a blade of pure light extending from my hand. I become a whirlwind of silver energy, dancing between the shadow creatures, my movements fluid and deadly. Each touch of my light dissolves one of the unseen into nothingness. From across the room, I feel Kalen's shock, his utter, profound disbelief. It is a raw, open wound on our broken bond. He is frozen on his dais, his sword half drawn, watching me do what his strongest warriors could not. He is watching the wolfless Omega he cast aside save his entire council of alphas. When the last creature is gone, I stand in the center of the hall, breathing heavily, the silver light slowly receding from my hands. The silence is absolute, broken only by the whimpers of the fallen alpha's packmates. I slowly turn my head, and finally, deliberately, I meet Kalen's gaze. The storm in his gray eyes is a tempest of regret, awe, and a desperate, hopeless longing that hits me with the force of a physical blow. The power dynamic so starkly defined 3 years ago has not just been inverted, it has been shattered. He is the king on his throne, powerful and untouchable. But in this moment, I am the one with the power to save them all. And he knows it. The cold, satisfying burn of that realization is more potent than any revenge I could have ever dreamed of. I hold his gaze for a long, silent moment, letting him see the woman I have become, letting him see everything he threw away. Then, I turn my back on him and walk to Lysander's side, my expression an unreadable mask of ice. The alliance is no longer a request, it is a necessity, and I am the one with all the leverage. The aftermath of the attack leaves the Great Hall in a state of tense, uneasy quiet. The body of the fallen Alpha is carried out, a grim testament to the stakes. Kalen descends from his throne, his movements stiff, his face pale beneath its tan. He approaches the cluster of alphas, but his eyes are fixed on me. I can feel the pull, the desperate gravity of his stare, and I fortify the walls around my heart, reinforcing them with the memory of his cruelty. We must form an alliance, he announces, his voice strained. This attack proves we are not safe, even here. The unseen are more powerful than we imagined. He looks directly at me. Your power. I have never seen anything like it. It is lunar magic, Lysander answers for me, stepping slightly in front of me in a subtle gesture of protection. An ancient power, and our greatest weapon against this enemy. He does not reveal my identity or my history. That is my story to tell, or to withhold. We need that weapon, another alpha grunts, his fear making him blunt. King Kalen, you must secure their help, whatever the cost. The cost. Kalen's gaze flickers, a complex tapestry of emotions crossing his face. He knows the cost. He knows what I would demand, his pride, his crown, his soul on a platter. He takes a step toward me, and the crowd of powerful wolves parts for him as if by instinct. He stops a few feet away, close enough that I can smell the ghost of pine and winter on his skin, a scent now tainted with the bitterness of his regret. Ilara, he says, his voice low, for my ears only. The sound of my name on his lips is a fresh wound. I meet his eyes, my expression glacial. You will address me as Commander Ilara of the Silver Creek Pack. You have not earned the right to my name. The verbal blow lands. I see him flinch, a tightening around his eyes, a muscle jumping in his jaw. The assembled alphas are too far away to hear, but they can feel the tension, the palpable clash of wills between their king and this mysterious, powerful she-wolf. Commander Ilara, he corrects himself, the words tasting like ash in his mouth. My kingdom, our world, is in peril. We need your help. I am asking for an alliance. An alliance requires trust, I reply, my voice as cold as the mountain peaks I now call home. And you are not a male to be trusted. His face crumples for a fraction of a second, a raw display of pain before his kingly mask slams back into place. What do you want? He asks, his voice rough with desperation. Name your price. I hold his gaze, letting him stew in his own miserable creation. I could ask for anything, riches, land, titles, but I want none of that. What I want is something he can never give me back. My innocence, my unbroken heart. So instead, I will take his dignity. The Silver Creek Pack will join this alliance on one condition, I say, my voice ringing with authority. We will not serve under your command. We will fight as equals. Our strategies will be determined by a war council, on which Alpha Lysander and I will hold equal votes to you. A murmur goes through the nearby alphas. For a minor, neutral pack to demand equal standing with the Alpha King is unprecedented. It is a direct challenge to his authority. I am forcing him to publicly diminish his own status, to admit that he is not all-powerful. He stares at me, his inner battle visible in the stormy depths of his eyes. His pride is warring with his desperation. His wolf, Lycan, is screaming at him. I can feel the reverberations of it, a desperate plea to agree, to do anything to bring me closer. Finally, he gives a stiff, jerky nod. Agreed, he bites out. We will fight as equals. Good, I say, offering no warmth, no sign of truce. I turn to Lysander. We will require quarters, away from the main keep. I cast a pointed look at Kaelin's opulent surroundings. We are not courtiers. Of course, Kaelin says quickly. The guest wing across the gardens. It is private and secure. I will see to it myself. The promise of forced proximity hangs in the air between us. We will be in his city, on his lands, fighting his war, but it will be on my terms. I give him a curt nod, a dismissal, and turn to walk away with Lysander, leaving him standing there, a king in his own hall, utterly disarmed. As we leave, I can feel the eyes of every wolf in the room on me, the whispers starting, the questions being asked. Who is she? Where did she come from? And what power does she hold over the Alpha King? Let them wonder. The girl who was nothing is finally becoming someone. The guest wing is luxurious, a far cry from my Spartan quarters in Silver Creek. But it feels like a gilded cage. From my window, I can see the main keep, its towers lit by torches, a constant reminder of Kaelin's presence. The bond, even shattered, acts like a compass needle, always pointing to him, a dull, persistent ache in my soul. The War Council meetings are a trial. I sit across the table from him, discussing strategy, troop movements, and the nature of our enemy. I am professional, detached, my contributions insightful and logical. I force him to see my mind, my strategic ability, not just my power. He, in turn, is a tormented ghost. He agrees with my points, defers to my expertise on the unseen, his eyes holding a desperate hunger that I refuse to acknowledge. He is starving, and I am a feast he is forbidden to touch. Lysander is my rock. He sits beside me, a quiet, solid presence. He sees the strain this is taking on me, the effort it requires to maintain my icy composure. One evening, after a particularly grueling council session, he finds me on the balcony of our wing, staring out into the night. He is breaking himself against the walls you have built, Lysander observes quietly, coming to stand beside me. His earthy scent is a comfort in the cloying atmosphere of Kaelin's capital. Let him break, I say, my voice hard. He thought nothing of breaking me. I know, Lysander says, his tone gentle, but hatred is a heavy burden to carry, Elra. It will poison you as much as it poisons him. He places a hand on my arm, his touch warm and respectful. You do not have to forgive him, but you do have to decide what you want. You hold all the power now. Do you want revenge, or do you want peace? His words strike a chord deep within me. What do I want? For 3 years, the fire of my rage has kept me warm. It forged me into the woman I am today. But it is a destructive fire. It burns everything it touches. Is that who I want to be? A creature of vengeance. He has a good heart, you know, Lysander continues softly, surprising me. Under all the pride and the arrogance, he is kind to you. He respects you. He is offering you a life of peace and honor, something Kaelin stole from you. I turn to look at him, at his honest, open face. He represents a safe harbor, a calm sea after a lifetime in a storm. A life with him would be simple, good. I would be respected, cherished even. My mind tells me it is the logical choice, the sane choice. He is a good man. He deserves to be chosen. Lysander, I start, my voice thick with an emotion I cannot name. Before I can finish, a piercing alarm bell rings out from the city walls. Shouts and screams follow. We rush to the edge of the balcony. A section of the city near the western gate is plunged into darkness. A thick, unnatural fog, teeming with shadow creatures, is rolling through the streets. A major attack is underway. They are targeting the residential district, I say, my strategic mind taking over. It is a diversion. From what? Lysander asks, his hand going to his sword. And then I feel it. A cold spike of dread, a specific, targeted malice that I recognize. I turn my gaze toward the main keep, toward the royal wing. No, I whisper, my blood running cold. Not a diversion. They are after a source of power. An old, faded one. They are after Lyra. Without a second thought, I vault over the balcony railing, landing lightly on the grass 2 stories below. My power cushions the fall. Ilara, wait, Lysander calls after me. But I do not wait. I am sprinting across the gardens, my feet flying over the manicured lawns. The rage I feel now is not the cold, controlled anger I have nurtured for years. It is a hot, protective fury. They will not touch her. They will not harm the only person who was kind to me when I had nothing. In that moment, she is not Kaelin's grandmother. She is my Lyra. As I race toward the keep, a figure clad in black armor drops from a balcony above, landing in step beside me. It is Kaelin. His face is a grim mask of fury, his sword already in his hand. Our eyes meet for a split second, and in that moment, there is no king, no commander, no rejected mate. There are only 2 people running to protect someone they both love. My grandmother's wing. He growls, his long legs easily keeping pace with my magically enhanced speed. I know, I pant, not breaking stride. I felt it. We burst into the keep together, a united storm of purpose. We do not speak. We do not need to. For the first time in 3 years, we are not enemies, not strangers. We are 2 halves of a whole, driven by the same singular goal. Protect. The word echoes in the space between us, a phantom whisper from a bond that refuses to die. My name is Kaelin, and for the first time in 3 years, my wolf is not fighting me. He is running with me. Lycan is a silent, focused presence in my mind, his rage mirroring my own, directed outward at the creatures threatening my grandmother, at the creatures threatening the woman running beside me. Her scent of moonlight and jasmine fills my lungs, a balm to my aching soul, even in the midst of this terror. She knew. She knew they were after Lyra before I did. Her power, her instincts. She is more magnificent than I ever could have imagined. And the shame of what I did to her is a fresh, gaping wound. We tear through the corridors of the keep, a blur of black and silver. Guards lie scattered, not dead, but drained, their life force stolen. The unseen have been here. We take the stairs to the royal wing 2 at a time, our footfalls echoing in the terrifying silence. We reach the antechamber to Lyra's rooms and find them. 3 of the shadow creatures are clustered around the main door, their smoky tendrils probing the ancient wood, which glows with a faint, protective ward. My grandmother is more than just an old woman. Her bloodline is ancient and even faded. Her power is a lure. Ilara does not hesitate. She does not wait for my command. She raises her hands, and the corridor is flooded with brilliant silver light. The creatures shriek, recoiling from the door. That is the opening I need. With a roar, I charge, my sword a streak of deadly steel. Lycan surges within me, lending strength to my arms, speed to my feet. My blade, forged in dragon's fire and quenched in the heart of a star, can harm them where normal steel cannot. I cleave through the first creature's form. It dissolves with a despairing sigh. Ilara is a dervish of light beside me. She does not use a sword of steel, but one of pure moonlight, an extension of her own will. She moves with a grace that is both beautiful and terrifying, a dance of death that dismantles the shadows one by one. We fight back to back, a seamless unit. My strength and her light, her speed and my resilience. We are a perfect, deadly harmony. It is how we were always meant to be. The thought is an agony and an ecstasy. When the last creature is gone, we stand panting in the silent corridor. Ilara's light fades, leaving us in the dim torchlight. She rushes to the door, pushing it open. Lyra! My grandmother is huddled in her armchair, her face pale, but her eyes sharp and lucid. The attack seems to have shocked her out of her stupor. She looks at Ilara, and a slow smile spreads across her face. I knew you would come, little star, she whispers. Then her eyes find me, standing in the doorway behind Ilara. The smile vanishes. The cold disappointment is back. Ilara kneels by her chair, taking her frail hand. Are you all right? They could not pass the wards, Lyra says, her gaze still fixed on me. The old magic still holds, unlike the promises of kings. The barb hits its mark. I flinch, lowering my eyes. I have failed her. I failed them both. Ilara, the woman I cast out, came to protect her while I, her king and grandson, almost let her die. Lysander and his warriors arrive then, securing the corridor. He rushes to Ilara's side, his hand on her shoulder, his expression full of concern. Are you hurt? I am fine, she assures him, but she does not pull away from his touch. Seeing his hand on her, his familiarity, his right to comfort her, is a torment beyond anything the unseen could inflict. The poisonous jealousy returns, tenfold. He is the good man. He is the one who was kind. He is the one who deserves her. My wolf snarls in my head, a possessive, furious sound. Ours, not his. I have to end this. I have to tear down this wall between us, no matter the cost. Later that night, after the city is secured and the dead are counted, I find her alone in the gardens. She stands before a fountain, the moonlight turning her hair into a silver halo. The city is quiet now, a wounded stillness. This is my chance, my only chance. I walk toward her, my footsteps loud on the gravel path. She does not turn. She knows I am here. I stop a few paces behind her. My heart is a frantic drum against my ribs. All my kingly authority, all my arrogance, has been stripped away. I am just a male, standing before the mate he grievously wronged, desperate for a forgiveness he has no right to ask for. Ilara, I begin, my voice rough. She does not turn. I believe we have established the proper mode of address, Your Majesty. The title is a weapon, sharp and cold. Please, I whisper, the words scraping my throat. Please, just listen. I take a breath, the confession I have rehearsed in my head for 3 years, spilling out in a torrent of shame. That night, I was a fool. I was a coward. I was so terrified of what my court, my father's advisors, would say. They drilled into me my whole life that my mate had to be a bastion of strength, a pure-blooded alpha to continue the line. And then I saw you. And you were perfect. My soul knew it. My wolf knew it. But the man, The man was weak. I saw your omega dress. I smelled no wolf. And all I could think of was the shame, the political fallout. I chose my crown over my soul. It was the most dishonorable, unforgivable act of my life. I pause, my chest heaving. There has not been a day, not an hour, that I have not regretted it. I broke the most sacred law of our people. I broke you. I broke myself. This kingdom, this crown, it is all meaningless without you. It has been a cold, gray hell for 3 years, and I deserve every second of it. She is still silent, her back to me, a rigid, unmoving statue. I am not asking for your forgiveness, I continue, my voice cracking. I know I have not earned it. I am not even asking you to choose me. I need you to know. The man who did that to you, he was a blind, arrogant boy. He is not the man who stands before you now. You have remade yourself into a queen. I am just now trying to become a man worthy of standing in your shadow. Finally, she turns. Her face is unreadable in the moonlight, her eyes deep, dark pools of mystery. The silence stretches, taut and agonizing. I have laid my soul bare, confessing my weakness, my shame, my utter failure. I have given her all the power. As she watches me, a figure emerges from the shadows of the colonnade. It is Lysander. He walks toward us, his expression somber. He stops beside Alara, his gaze moving from my tormented face to hers. The bond between you, he says, his voice full of a sad resignation. It is not broken. It is merely wounded. I feel it like a thunderstorm in the air whenever you are near each other. He turns to Alara, his eyes soft. I told you that I would offer you peace, a life of honor, and I would. I would give you anything, but I cannot give you what he can. I cannot give you the other half of your soul. He reaches out and gently touches her cheek. My heart will ache for you, Ilara, but I will not be a second choice. And I will not stand in the way of a true mate bond, no matter how damaged. He may have been a fool then, but the journey back to you is his to make. And the choice is, and always will be, yours. He gives me one last long look, a look of pity and warning. Then he turns and walks away, his footsteps receding into the night, leaving a profound and noble silence in his wake. He has gracefully, painfully removed himself from the equation. He has left me alone with my sins, and her alone with her choice. The board is clear. All the pieces are in play, and I am utterly at her mercy. Lysander's departure leaves a void in the garden, a space that had been filled with his quiet strength and unwavering kindness. Now, there is only the cold moonlight, the scent of damp earth, and the crushing weight of Kalen's confession. He stands before me, stripped of his crown and his pride, his soul laid bare. He looks broken as I once was. The rage that has been my constant companion for 3 years begins to feel less like a shield and more like a cage. Your words are easy, Kalen, I say, my voice quiet but firm. You broke more than just a bond. You broke my trust in everything. You taught me that love is a weapon, that hope is a fool's dream. How can words possibly fix that? They cannot, he admits, his voice raw. I know that. Words are meaningless. Only actions have weight. I will spend the rest of my life, however long you allow it to be, proving my worth through action. Even if you never choose me, even if you command me to leave and never see you again, my life is yours to command. That is my vow. Before I can process the depth of his surrender, A new sound cuts through the night. It is not the clang of an alarm bell, but something far more sinister. A low, resonant hum, like a million insects buzzing in unison, that seems to come from everywhere at once. The very air grows thick and heavy, charged with a malevolent energy. What is that? Kalen growls, his head snapping up, his senses on high alert. A wave of blackness spills over the city walls, far larger and more concentrated than before. It is not a fog this time, but a roiling, living tide of shadow. At the heart of it, a form begins to coalesce, larger and more terrible than any of the unseen we have fought. It is a being of pure darkness, a humanoid shape that seems to drink the light from the air around it. It has no face, only a swirling vortex of deeper black. The antagonist, the source. It has come for the city. I breathe, a cold knot of fear tightening in my stomach. For the power here. It has come for you. A voice echoes in my mind, a sibilant whisper that is not my own. It is the creature. It is speaking directly to me. Your light. It is an affront to my existence, an ancient song I thought long silenced. I will devour it. I will devour you. The shadow entity raises a hand, and the tide of unseen surges forward, pouring into the streets, overwhelming the city's defenders. This is it, the final battle. We have to get to the walls, Kalen commands, his kingly authority returning in the face of the crisis. But I know it is too late. The sheer number of them is too great. They will overrun the city in minutes. We cannot fight them all, I say, my mind racing. We have to cut off the head. It is too powerful, Kalen counters, his eyes on the colossal shadow being. Even together, we might not be enough. He is right. My light is strong, but it is finite. The creature is a well of endless darkness. And then, a desperate, insane idea begins to form in my mind. The bond, the wounded, shattered thing between us. It is a source of pain, but it is also a conduit of immense power. A complete bond between an alpha king and a lunar wolf. It would be legendary, unstoppable. But completing it requires acceptance. It requires forgiveness. It requires a choice. The shadow entity turns its faceless head, its non-existent gaze seeming to lock onto the keep, where Lyra is. A clear threat. It knows my weakness. It knows his. My decision is made in that heartbeat. Not for him, not for the man he was, but for the man he is trying to be, and for the world he is trying to protect. For Lyra, for Lysander's faith in me, for myself, and the chance to be whole again. At that moment, the shadow entity speaks again, its voice booming not just in my head, but across the entire city, a voice of pure corruption. Alpha King, it booms. Give me the lunar. Surrender the woman, and your city will be spared. Refuse, and I will unmake it, stone by stone, soul by soul. The entire city holds its breath. The guards on the walls, the alphas in the keep, the citizens huddled in their homes. They all hear the offer. An impossible choice. Me or their lives. I look at Kalen. I see the torment, the war in his eyes. This is his final test. The boy who sacrificed his mate for his crown is now being asked to sacrifice his kingdom for his mate. He does not hesitate for a second. His answer is not a shout of defiance, but a low, guttural growl of pure, possessive fury. Never. Then he does something that shocks the city, that shocks me to my very core. He turns to me in the middle of the garden, in full view of the battlements and the keep, and he drops to one knee. He bows his head, his sword clattering to the ground beside him. He, the Alpha King, kneels in the dirt before me. Yalara, he says, his voice thick with emotion, but loud enough for anyone nearby to hear. I was wrong. I was a fool. I publicly shamed you. Now, I publicly declare the truth. You are not a weakness. You are the greatest strength this world has ever known. You are my mate, my queen, my very soul. I formally and absolutely retract my rejection. He looks up at me, his storm gray eyes shining with unshed tears, and then he does the unthinkable. He tilts his head to the side, baring the vulnerable, scarred column of his throat, the ultimate act of submission for a wolf, an offer of his life. I beg for your forgiveness, he says, his voice breaking, but I do not ask you to accept me. I ask only for the honor of dying for you. My life, my crown, my kingdom, it is all yours. Do with it as you will. Take it and rule without me, or let me fight by your side. Your choice. It has always been your choice. The grovel. It is not a manipulation. It is not a tactic. It is a complete and total surrender of his ego, his power, his very life. He has proven his change not with words, but with the most profound action a king could take. He has laid his entire world at my feet and offered me the freedom to walk away. My heart, the fortress of ice and anger, cracks. It does not just crack, it shatters, and in its place, a warmth I thought long dead floods my entire being. The tears I have refused to shed for 3 years finally fall, tracing paths down my cheeks. He is not the boy who broke me. He is the man who would die for me. He is the mate my soul recognized from the very beginning. I step forward, my hand trembling, and I reach out. The shadow entity roars in frustration, its army surging forward. But in our small circle in the garden, time seems to stand still. My choice is made, from a position of absolute power, not desperation. I choose him. My fingers gently, reverently touch the warm, exposed skin of his throat. I accept, I whisper. The moment my skin makes contact with his, it is like lightning striking the heart of the world. The broken bond does not just heal, it ignites. A cataclysmic explosion of power, silent and overwhelming, erupts between us. It is a torrent of silver moonlight and golden alpha power. My calm, cool energy intertwining with his fierce, stormy strength. The jagged wound in my chest vanishes, replaced by a feeling of wholeness so profound it makes me gasp. His scent floods my senses, no longer tainted by regret but pure and intoxicating. Pine, winter air, and the electric promise of a storm, all wrapped around the scent of home. Kalen lets out a shuddering breath, his eyes closing in blissful agony as the bond snaps into its rightful place. I feel his relief, his joy, his absolute devotion pouring into me. And I pour my own back into him, my forgiveness, my acceptance, my strength. We are one. Scarred, yes, broken and remade, but finally, utterly whole. I feel his power flow into me, and my power flow into him. My lunar light now has the unyielding strength of his alpha core. His raw strength is now guided by my precise, ethereal energy. We are more than the sum of our parts. I help him to his feet, our hands clasped together, our fingers intertwined. We turn as one to face the encroaching darkness. The colossal shadow entity hesitates, its form wavering as it feels the sheer, raw power now radiating from us. It has made a fatal miscalculation. It tried to devour two separate lights, and in doing so, it has forged a star. Together? Kalen asks, his voice a low, confident growl that vibrates through our linked hands. Together, I affirm, my voice ringing with a power I have never known. We do not run at the enemy. We walk, side by side, a king and his queen, an alpha and his lunar, united and complete. I raise my free hand, and a dome of shimmering silver light expands from us, covering the entire garden. The unseen that touch its perimeters screech and burn, dissolving into smoke. Kalen raises his sword, and it becomes wreathed in my moonlight, glowing with a terrible, beautiful radiance. The shadow entity lets out a final, frustrated roar and lunges for us, a mountain of black malice intending to crush us. We do not flinch. We stand our ground, our combined power a fortress. For our people, Kalen roars, his voice amplified by the bond. For our future, I add, my voice a clear silver bell. We raise our joined hands, a column of pure, concentrated energy, a swirling vortex of gold and silver, sun and moon, fury and grace shoots upward from our grasp. It strikes the shadow entity dead center. There is no sound, only an impossibly bright flash of light that banishes every shadow from the city. The creature of darkness is unmade, its essence vaporized by a power it could not comprehend. In its wake, the entire army of unseen dissolves, their connection to their master severed, their shadowy forms evaporating into the newly illuminated night. Silence descends upon the city, a stunned, reverent silence. Then, a single cheer rises from the walls, followed by another and another, until the entire city is erupting in a triumphant roar. They are not cheering for a king who defeated a monster. They are cheering for the king and queen who saved them all. Kalen turns to me, his eyes blazing with an adoration so intense it takes my breath away. He gently cups my face in his hands, his thumbs tracing the paths of my tears. "My queen," he whispers, his voice thick with reverence. "My king," I whisper back, my heart so full I feel it might burst. "My mate." He lowers his head and kisses me. It is not a kiss of frantic passion, but one of deep, soul-shattering tenderness. It is a promise, a homecoming, a celebration of a love that was broken, lost, and finally, miraculously, found. In the heart of the kingdom he once cast me from, surrounded by the people who witnessed my shame, I am finally home, healed, whole, and his equal in all things. Months later, the kingdom is healing. The scars on the land are fading, and the scars on the people's hearts are too. Our joint rule is unlike anything the seven territories have ever seen. Kalen's strength and decisiveness are now tempered by my compassion and strategic foresight. We do not sit on a single throne. We have two, of equal height and splendor, side by side on the dais. He consults me on every matter, from trade disputes to the replanting of crops. His council, the same men whose judgment he once feared, now look at me with a respect bordering on awe. I am not just the king's mate. I am the lunar queen, and my word is law. The power of our completed bond has brought a new prosperity to the land. The harvests are more bountiful, the winters less harsh. It is as if the land itself rejoices in our unity. We are a symbol of hope, of how even the most broken things can be made whole and stronger than before. Today, we are not in the throne room. We are in the gardens, in a quiet corner where the scent of jasmine hangs heavy in the air. Lyra sits in a comfortable cushioned chair, a warm blanket over her lap. Her eyes are clear, her mind sharp. The return of our family's magic, whole and vibrant, has revitalized her. She is no longer the forgotten relic, but the revered Dowager Queen, her counsel sought and her stories cherished. I am sitting on a low stool at her feet, reading to her from the same worn book of fairy tales. Kalen stands a little way off, leaning against an ancient oak, simply watching us. There is no arrogance left in him, only a quiet, profound contentment. His love for me is a constant, warm presence at the back of my mind, a steady flame that never wavers. Read the one about the star-crossed lovers again, dear, Lyra says, her voice strong and clear. I smile, the memory of that long-ago night, a distant, softened echo. Of course, Lyra. As I read the familiar words, I feel Kalen's approach. He comes to stand behind me, his hands settling gently on my shoulders. His touch is warm, grounding. His scent of pine and winter is my safety, my home. He leans down, his lips brushing against my temple. I could listen to you read forever, he murmurs, his voice a low, loving rumble that I feel through our bond. I lean back against his strong frame, my hand coming up to cover his on my shoulder. The ache in my soul is gone, replaced by a peace I never thought possible. Our journey was one of unimaginable pain, a trial by fire that should have destroyed us both. But somehow, we endured. We earned this. The scars are still there. I see them sometimes in the guarded look that can cross my face when I am startled, or in the shadow of regret that flickers in his eyes when he looks at me for too long. They are a part of our story, a reminder of the cost of pride and the price of forgiveness. But they do not define us anymore. Our love, forged in rejection and reforged in redemption, is what defines us now. He was the arrogant king who broke me. I was the wolfless omega he cast away. Now he is the humbled man who worships me, and I am the powerful queen who chose to heal him. Our fairy tale did not start with a prince saving a damsel. It started with a king creating a monster, and a woman who had to become a queen to save them both. It is not a perfect story, but it is ours. And as I sit here, bathed in the afternoon sun, with my mate's arms around me and our family safe, I know it is a story with a happy ending. An earned, scarred, but finally beautifully whole, happy ending.